Go live. Go live. Go live. So I just restarted everything, and now I'm here, and now it's all working, or at least it's working in theory. So I don't know if you guys are with me or not. We'll see. But this time I am smart and thinking ahead. I'm going to go ahead and just open Adobe Audition so that it's already ready. So there we go. Audition is up and running. The thing I like about Audition is that I can adjust the widgets in Audition if I open the preferences and say audio hardware, right? Because now the default input's the snowball, and that helps right over there. Right? Okay. So, the other thing we don't have open at this moment, because I was too busy going, hey, why is this not working? Is I need my chat client up. Because I like my chat client. So how y'all doing? It's a Tuesday. All day. Still Tuesday. Hanging out being Tuesday. Never got the hang of Tuesdays. All right. So, we're going to be doing work with the same thing we were doing yesterday, which is working on Yaleos. And I'm going to, I wonder if it's Yaleos. It does make me wonder. Okay. So here we are. Hey, David's awake. Good job, dude. That's better than me. I have my coffee, and I'm working on it. But no promises. Okay, I'm going to go on ahead and start working on this piece. There we go. Good to have you aboard, David. All right. So here's where we were yesterday when we left. I actually handed this off to Emily and asked her what she thought, and she liked it. She said she'd like more wild hair, even more wild hair. So I'm going to go on ahead and do that today as well. And she's apparently got lots of wild hair. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably work on that in a second here. We're going to start with, first I've got these two going on here, ink and color. Without the ink, we get just that. It looks kind of weird. Put the ink on top and we're fine. So I'm going to merge those two down once I've checked to make sure that there's no bleeding through like this, right? Because that's the first thing I'm going to do. Not on the ink layer, though. Or on the color layer. Like that. Has to make that noise. Hey, Brent's here. How you doing, Brent? So I was just saying, I handed this off to Emily, and she liked it, and she said even more wild hair was her comment on it. She thinks it's great. Thinks the character needs more hair. Yeah, right. I'm ready for the weekend. I'm pretty much done with with all of this crap. I'm done with this crap. So can't be bothered or pushed anymore on this. I'm just done. So let's see here. So I'm one of those few people that actually don't look forward to weekends, generally speaking. Back before coronavirus, that was my days when I was working as a driving instructor. And that's not like I hate working as a driving instructor, but I like the schedule I've got now, which is pretty much no schedule, right? I mean, I just sit here and draw all the time. So I like that a whole lot better. But then on this coronavirus thing, I started actually doing a 10 o'clock broadcast every day, and that has added to my schedule, which is kind of interesting, I find. So all I'm doing now is just going through and cleaning up bleed overs like this, or right here, and through here. Oh, you need to retake your driving test, huh? So, and the answer is I don't actually do the driving tests because I chose not to. You can't talk during the driving tests. Can you imagine me not being able to talk for 15 minutes? I think that'd like to kill me. But the school does. The school that I belong to, I just never qualified. I never did the qualification. I never wanted to do the qualification. So I teach behind the wheel. And I teach in the classroom. I'd happily teach you behind the wheel so that you can pass the test, though. So I'd happily do that. I mean, it's a thing, teach you all little things you need to know for the test. So, suspended license sucks, man. Sorry. Looking up here, I feel like this should probably be yellow on this side as well, right? Like, this part of the poncho is not going the right color. So, sort of a thing. Poor David, he makes too much money to enjoy the weekend. I hear you. So her eyes are supposed to be gold, and I wonder if maybe that... You got a suspended license from a divorce? That's a first. I've never heard that. I mean, I believe you wholeheartedly. That sounded like I didn't believe you. I don't believe you. Brent, what are you talking about? No. I totally believe you. I just had never heard that. So that's fascinating to me. You feel... Everybody feels like her hair needs to be more wild. I think you're just quoting Emily. Oh, gotcha. That totally... I have heard of that. So, I've totally heard of that. That makes sense. I hate it when you have, like, technical things like that, and you have to... And it's like a technicality, and it gets botched because somebody just didn't care. Irritates me. Okay, I think I've cleaned up all of the lines that I want to do. So I'm going to compress down those two lines. So now we have just this one, and that's all on color. The shadow, then, this is the way shadows work for me. I bring it down to about 25%. Hey, Raph, how you doing, man? Welcome aboard. How did you get an upside-down question mark? I love upside-down question marks. I never can do them. No irises. Well, okay, so I don't know yet. I haven't gotten to irises yet. I haven't decided. I'm going to have to go back, right? It doesn't surprise me. I'm going to have to go back at some point in time and decide what I'm doing with those eyes, right? I don't know what I'm doing with those eyes. So all I'm doing now is going back through and putting in shadows, right? Okay, so this will help me define, like, her fingers here are obviously in front of her face. We need to make that somewhat clear. So there's this. I'm going to go through here, and like her vambrace needs to have a shadow on it. Like that. And go like this. Wonk, 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 like that. Go under here. Totally like this. And then probably over here like that. And through here like this. Following the contours of the body. Right? So then moving down into this ring in here, and then like through here like that. And this is one of the reasons why I didn't like this dark blue. I could see that there wasn't going to be any way that the shadow would show up through it. And this hand is going to be like this. In here like that. Well, that's an 800 number. I'm not answering that. I don't need to talk to you. You're probably just asking me to... reminding me about my car's extended warranty. I'm so tired of that. Okay, coming around here. Now, I'm feeling like 24 is a little weak, so I'm going to put up to 33 and see what we got. That looks a little bit stronger. The question is, how much does it mess up her face? That's really where you want to... Right? And you're like, well, and they've recently changed the law so that, they used to be you couldn't call cell phones. And it was our conservatives that did this. I mean, I don't usually play the politics game that much, but it was indeed a conservative bill because companies were losing money when they couldn't call us all day long and all night long. And so we got a bill passed that allowed them to call us now and pester us all the time because heaven forbid somebody loses money. And so, especially since nobody wants to give me money because they're too busy keeping money. So, like, makes me mad. I get angry about this stuff. I know, you can't tell, but it's true. Okay, going along here, just defining the leggings. I don't really mind that I'm going out of the lines here, and I'll show you why in a second. So I just want to make sure that I've got everything on this. Make sure I capture all of the shadows in the proper way. So going this way. And then back under here. Catch the neck. And pretty much I think this entire area is going to be dark because of this neckline. So there's that. And come back around under here like this. Gets a little bit of shadow right there like that. And this will get a lot of shadow. She gets the lights coming from this side. So you're going to get highlight there and highlight there. And that's actually what we're going to do next now. We're going to do the highlights. No, that's fine, thanks. So I think it's funny that somewhere along the line, I thought the shine was a text file. There we go. So the lightness. The lightness is the exact opposite. Take this one, and we go for, I can't remember if it's overlay or screen, but we'll figure it out here in a second. right? And then it's overlay. When you go to about, I don't know, I always waffle between 50 and 60%, depending on how this works here. Like that, come through here, and we're just going to do the other side of her, right? I go through here and do this. Oh, yep, like that. Come around. Coming down here and through this area. And then same thing, we're just putting highlight on here, and this gives dimension and depth to the picture. Which is important. Van braces will be all highlit. Is that a word? Highlit. Sounds like something that definitely be a word. I'm like Shakespeare, man. I'm just making up words. Watch me. Get back. Jump back. There we go. Through here. Through there. And through here. And all we're doing is just giving depth. I like highlight better. I'm just saying. You can't stop me. I'm just going to be a belligerent child. That's nice. Well done. How adult of you. Oh, man. There's Brent being nice and being and offering the correct way to pronounce this and everything. And what am I doing? I'm being a belligerent child. God. I feel like this is something that at least Raph is used to quite a bit of. Me being a belligerent child, anyway. Okay. Right? I've got a belligerent child minion, too. And Raph's working on the belligerent child minion as well. Goodness knows. Raph's paid that price quite a few times now. He's a couple of minions. Okay, so now we've done that. I'm going to take a look at it from far away. Doesn't look bad at all. So now we're going to talk about shine and highlights. At this point in time, I'm going to switch to white, and I'm going to leave this at 100% opacity. And this is where you can just do like that. And we're just going to put a little bit of highlight in on this, like here. Right? Not a lot. But everything that shines, I'm going to get. I like the comment that you're from Kansas. That's beautiful. I've been to Kansas. I spent a year there one night. Oh, man. Kansas. It's the route between here and Texas. Spent a year there one night. That's beautiful, man. You have made my entire week. And I also empathize a lot. There we go. All right. Got a little bit of shine going on everything. Let's zoom in. You know, got shiny boots. All right. So now what we're going to do is clean up the picture. I know you're saying, but weren't you going to do something about the hair? I'm totally going to do something about the hair. But first, I'm going to clean up the picture. Hit the lightness, and then I'll hit the shine. And all I'm doing is hitting delete, right? And that way, now we're here. So now we got to go back in and mess with the hair. I'm actually going to go on ahead and say I'm pretty happy with this design. So I'm going to turn off that and that so that we're only just seeing this level here. And I'm going to say Control-Shift-E. Now it's all shiny. We don't need that layer. And then there. Okay. Let's talk about the hair. She said buns and curls, and she was having this long discussion about this hair. And so I'm like, okay, well, we'll work on the hair. First things first, let's put in buns. Second, let's delete some of the stuff that I just put in here. And we'll go like that. And then she said curls, so I'm thinking what I will do. She said braids and curls and all kinds of stuff. But I don't know how to logically do that. I mean, that's not true. I don't know how all of those things would logically be there. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to say that the back of her hair has curls. Like that. And then I'll highlight these in a minute, and then I'll give it definition. You're like, why? All you're doing is making a Christmas tree out of her hair. Well, okay, so that's sort of true. But we'll figure that out here in a second. There we go. So we've got that going on here, and then that going on there, and then so now she's got curls. And the curls, when you do curls, the way we do this is we just highlight coming around like this, which then defines the curl. You think so? You think I've gone too wild? Thanks, David. Right, we'll define the curls by coming around like this. And that way you've got the curls going through like this. There we go. So then in the front, I'm going to put braids in. And the braids, when you do braids, is you highlight one side of it like this. Well, anyway, she has jet black hair, so jet black hair has a certain amount of shine to it. So I'm going to be putting in the shine on there to define, use the shine as the definition. Usually I would use shadow to define. But when you're dealing with black hair, it's just black. And if you don't put shine on it, it just looks flat. And so you want to put the shine to define what's going on. I wonder if she should have like red braids. Maybe that's what we should do. Or, not braids, but some kind of... no, she'd probably just offset with the same color she's already got. So, see, that puts this problem, though, doesn't it? Maybe gold. There we go. So we'll tie the bottom of the braids. All right. And we'll head back up here. And we'll put in something that's tying in her hair or tying back her hair. And we'll let those come out the other side somewhere, if I can find it, where the exit is for this thing. Probably over here. Right. So we'll put this here. It's the bottom of the ribbon in her hair. And it's coming up to the top. Right here. All right. Now she has lots of hair. So I feel like they're not balanced at this point in time. So I'm going to go ahead and go over here and check out this side and decide what I'm going to do with this. Either way, something I really want to do is go back over the original hair, because when I put in the hair before and then put the layer underneath it, it put an outline around the hair, which is difficult to deal with. So I can do this now. And right, and now I've got hair that ends in nice little points out here. I think you've watched too much Star Trek, David. The wildness factor. You've raised the wildness factor too much. She's gonna blow. Okay. Nope. Nope. I think above the curl line, there's not a whole bunch I can do. In an ideal world, Emily would be here to make a comment about this, but she's not, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. Hair, she said have fun with the hair, so I'm having a lot of fun with the hair. I really still need to WD-40 my chair, don't I? But I think having the ribbon coming out the back, it's totally fine. I'm not. You're okay, Brent. Do what you need to do, man. You do you, boo. I found out recently that boo means like friend or something like that. I think it may even mean more than friend. So if it does, I apologize. But hey, what do I know? I'm old. Okay, so one of the things we're going to do here is. I'm going to open up my Guy the Artist, and I have new backgrounds for this. So I'm all excited about this. shared resources. I have a whole new batch of backgrounds. So I did this recently where I went through and just took a large sheet of paper and did a number of watercolor backgrounds, right? So all of these, I just took different watercolors. Some of them bled through and made a mess, but some of them came out really nice, and that's okay. And I'm okay with that. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look at this character, and I think she needs a red background of some sort, red or pink or something to offset all of that green and blue. So I'm probably going to take this guy right here and then copy here, paste, and yeah, it's right on top of her. Like that. Let me hit shift to make it go up to there and down to about there and then out to there and out to there. All right. And that gives us a nice pattern for the background. And then I need to do an adjustment. I always need to do a levels adjustment for this. Where'd my levels go? Where do they end up? They end up somewhere. Are they underneath here? Yeah, they are. Put this over here. Parts per million. Okay, so I can make this darker here and really help that a lot or not. But the big thing I'm going to do is this. Work. There we go. Because otherwise that white's going to be distracting. I think red looks good for it. So I'm going to do this, but maybe I'll make it lighter so that you can see. I don't want to lose that ribbon. So there we go. Right? So there we go. I think we are, I'll save. I think we're approaching done with this piece. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm hoping that she's got a good idea, a good grasp on this character enough that this seems like a reasonable thing. So I'm going to go in ahead and do the trick for it. So now that we've done that, we take this and we merge it. So the next thing we want to do is we want to leave these two on separate layers in case I ever want to come back to it, but I need to merge them together. So I'm going to duplicate this like this and then merge that. And that gives me one copy that's like this and one copy that's separated. And this copy I'm going to actually take and move up here into this corner where I have a standee for, this is the miniature version so that she can use this in games if she ever wants to. So up here in this corner, I've got this little teeny standee so that she can print this out. And hey, don't be a pest. She can print this guy out anytime she wants. And use it in games. So I'll check the standees. The way I check this is to go and say multiply, and then I can see the dotted line underneath it now. So it maybe needs to go a little bit smaller, but not a whole lot. I don't want to be too small. It's okay if a little bit of her hair goes over this line, but you don't want to mess it up too much. Did I actually delete the name? That's funny. That's funny. I'm like, where's the name? It's such a great name. Huh. All right. So I'm always fascinated by the speed between all of these different things. Like, which Twitch is Twitch better than Facebook? Facebook better than YouTube and things like that? And does that vary by day? Does that vary by week? Will that change once we go back to the daily routine? Everybody is back to their normal. Because I'm going to be here. I'm going to be still broadcasting. So, okay, so here's the next thing we need to do here is I need to... Yeah, it's not like you're going anywhere. You got to make phone calls every so often, so might as well hang with me. Right? Me too. Okay, I got to go back and find her name because I deleted it because I'm an idiot. But that's okay. It's not a bad thing. I'll just fix it. So I go back to Facebook real quick here. Buns, braids, loopies. Got it. Okay. Get her name. Come back over here. We're going to have to do this again, which is kind of a bummer. My master file of this is, this was 24, and this is 36. My master file of this. Why does Photoshop do that? That's clearly a rotate. On my master file, I'm going to have to go back at some point in time and fix it because I think I have mistaken the file that said, or the layer that said shine. I think that's really the text layer, like where this text is, so that I can redo it. Now, there's not enough room on the little guy, so I'm just going to copy that, and put it right here. Right? And then, see, again, it does that every time. And that's been a glitch that Photoshop has had with me for years and versions. I mean, I remember Photoshop 6 having that. And I actually asked somebody online, or, I asked somebody on the Adobe forums, and they're like, oh yeah, that's the, burtle bottle, error or whatever. And it's normal. And I'm like, you guys have actually gotten to the point where you are accepting of this? You got to the point where this is all logical? I don't know. All right. So now I think we are where we need to be on this one. I'll save. This looks like a wild, her hair is wild. And I don't think I can get much more wild than that. I'm relatively new to the hair field. I can do the anime hair that implies very heavily a average Japanese schoolgirl, because that's the kind of hair that I have always drawn. But average Japanese schoolgirls don't have curly hair. So there's, difficulty there. All right. So what I will do is I will call this good, and I will save it as a JPEG like this. You know what? I gave her a pre version, so let's give her a second version just because that way I don't have to worry about it. I'll shrink it down just a little bit. Max, so image, when it comes to JPEGs, I have never seen that much loss below or above 10. But I see a lot in my compression. And so it's kind of a different thing. So we'll call that good. Okay, so my watercolor backgrounds. So here's the next thing we're going to do. We're going to talk just for about 15 minutes about this. Because we've only got a few minutes left before the end of this session. And I really don't want to start a new project right now because I'll start a new project tomorrow. But this is an interesting thing I did yesterday. I was trying to figure out, and this might be interesting to you, Raph, if you're still out there. I was trying to figure out with my manga some certain things like, you always hear about numbers of how many words per issue or how many words are in novels and things like that, but you never, I have a hard time tracking down how many words should be in a comic issue. And so I did a breakdown, and there's a couple of other things. Like I really, really, really am having a hard time figuring out panels and layout and things like that. It's the problem is that everybody does it slightly different. There's no static way of doing it. And I have always done less panels for slow and more panels for fast. So if it's a fast section of the comic book, you know, where a lot of action is going on, I'll head up to, 7 or 8 panels in a page. And if it's a slow part of the comic where characters are just laying back and drinking coffee, then I will have, 2 or 1 or 3 panels. But I have always had that as a feel, not there's no quantification. And what I've noticed I do when I write and draw ultimately is I get carried away with this. And I end up with 32 pages packed to the gills with 8 panels each with thousands of words. And it's ungainly and it's difficult, and I have to go back and hack and slash at the pages. And I hate doing that. I hate hacking at the pages. I like having everything in discrete sections. So what I did was I took the comic Bunny Drop, which is an adorable comic, except for the last issue. And I broke it, and it's actually an adorable comic even in the last issue, just creepy. And I broke it down into, I went on ahead and I counted here, I counted all the panels. I counted how many of them were full panels. And by that, I meant how many have backgrounds in the panels. And how many of them don't. And then over here is the word count. So what I discovered is that the story beats are very obvious here. When she hits story beats in the, I'm talking about Yumi-san, who's the one who wrote this comic. But the thing that was also useful was this. I now know that in Bunny Drop for 32 pages, there's going to be about 1,500 words. And that's a very, very useful number for me. Because now when I write the scripts, I can go back and make sure that they stay under 1,500 words. And I noticed that 130 is dense. There's a lot of words going on. There's not a lot of room for art. So you definitely don't want to have the 130 word or over here like this 165. Now, the beat in the comic here where this 165 is, in the story, it's a bunch of people all talking at once. So they're all arguing. This is a story beat. They're arguing over whether, what to do with the little girl in the story. And so it's a story beat, and there's a lot of chatter. So I don't think 165 is a norm. I think if I look here, I've got 139, I've got 140 there, 131. And then, over here, I've got 102 and stuff like that. So I feel like that 130 to 140 is probably tops on this. The other thing that I really wanted to get out of the analysis was the full panels. She's establishing a world right here. And so almost all of, I like the fact that there's 3 panels here, but 4 of them are full. I think I may have reversed these two by accident. At least for the first half. The first 13 of the pages, I had those two reversed on my sticky notes. So I think these are reversed, but it doesn't matter. So for the first, actually that makes some sense as to why this looks different. So 2 about to here, these 2 are reversed. They should be going the other direction. But I actually could do that real quick. Doing this analysis here. I'll copy and paste. And then I'll just move that aside real quick. And I'll do the same thing right here. Ooh, get it all, guy. And I'll copy and paste. What? Oh no. I'll copy and paste. Okay. Move this guy over here. And like all good things, he needs to be adjusted. There we go. And then I'll take this guy, move him here. All right. Yeah, I kind of thought about that too. There's something about world building. Anyway, looking at this, I can kind of see that there's a denser clump of panels up front. But now I've kind of swapped these back and forth, and now I'm noticing that I have 6 panels. One of them is a full panel. Now, the other thing I didn't do is something that specifically happens in Bunny Drop, and I've actually seen this happen in Rumiko Takahashi does this too, in Ranma and Inuyasha and Urusei Yatsura and things like that. And that is one panel that is a tree or a flower or just a panel full of zipatone. And it's, and what you'll have, and that's to indicate a story stop. It's the transition between, one thought process and another. And I like it, but I don't use it. It's not my style. So I didn't know where to count those. Do I count those? I mean, I counted them as a panel, obviously. But do I count it as a full panel? I mean, she sometimes drew flowers. But you don't have character A talking to character B. You have, the stop of the story there. And I don't know, maybe I will just include that in my stories from now on. Maybe a good story stop wouldn't kill me. It fits more. I like what's going on. I like the feel of it. And I like the way that works. So, I don't know. It's a thing. But she's in world building here. And so, this is 3/4 of these panels. This is most of the panels. This isn't all of them. There's a lot of chatter going on page 3. You know what I mean? This one's weird. But for the most part, right up in the top. And then over here, we're taking little girl in the story to daycare for the first time. So you've got to establish daycare, and you've got to establish that whole scene of them on the train going to daycare and things like that. So it's an adorable story. The plot of Bunny Drop is it starts out at a funeral of this guy's grandpa. And the guy's going to the grandpa's funeral and finds out that grandpa had a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old kid, with somebody not in the family. It was, an affair. And he had a kid that was 6. So the grandson, everybody argues with what to do with the kid. And that's this whole first episode here. And in the end, the hero, the grandson, just adopts the kid, So, but he's this 30-something office worker, and he lives by himself in a little apartment, and now he's got a kid, instant kid. And it's an adorable story because, like, here he's like trying to figure out daycare and figuring out how to get her to daycare on the train, and turns out daycare is too far, and he has to go all the way past his work to go to the daycare and then come back to work, and they have to leave at stupid o'clock in the morning, and they're coming back at stupid o'clock at night, And the whole story is like that, and it's cute, and so I like it, and it's a thing. So I like weird manga is my thing now. I was very much into big robots and the classic shonen manga when I was younger. And now that I'm older, I've gotten into these more like obscure and weird manga. So there you go. Bunny Drop. I highly recommend it. I'll show you a copy right here. I'll show you what it looks like. And so it's Bunny Drop. Highly recommend this comic. It's a good comic. So there you go. I am peddling this comic. But yeah, effectively, this guy adopts this little girl. And it's all about how he has absolutely no clue how to raise a child. And it's very funny. And it's cute. And it's adorable. And then, of course, it goes through the girl's life with him. So, we go through her being a teenager and having a boyfriend and him having to suddenly, navigate that. And yeah, it's just really cute. Yeah, I could see that. Anytime you have, Wolverine and Havoc teaming up, that sounds like a thing. I am still relatively new to American comics. I didn't get into it until I started hanging out with Raph and David. I knew of it because you can't live in our culture, especially if you're geeky, without knowing Iron Man and X-Men and things like that. But I never read them. Not until I started hanging out with the Red Team Go guys. So there's that, and that's a thing. But for the most part, like, I'm a manga reader. I'm a hardcore manga reader, and I'm getting obscure as I get older. Now I'm reading things like Bunny Drop, which is way out there. But I've got like Planetas over there, which is really good. That's more what I read when I was younger. That's about space junk collectors. Yeah, like Oi Bob. I hung out with him too. But it's all you guys' fault that I'm into American comics at all. So I don't know if I should say it's your fault. I actually kind of like it. But we've been enjoying watching the Marvel Universe. You don't have to. It's to each his own. For the most part, I find American manga or American comics to be good. They're interesting, but I still feel like they're a lot formulaic, and I don't like that. I don't like the fact that they have to end with the good guys beating the bad guys, and it's always sort of that same kind of pattern. And it's okay. I mean, it's not a big deal, but that's always been sort of one of my big gripes since I was younger was, I don't like to predict the way the story is going to end. I don't mind the good guys winning. That's, but it's like you can always tell, oh no, Captain America is in danger. Will he survive? Yeah, of course he's going to survive. Don't ask that question because I know he's going to survive. So I try to ask questions that are a little bit more, in my stories, I try to ask questions that are a little bit more ambiguous. As opposed to, will Captain America survive? The question is, will Captain America sacrifice his grandmother to save, Metropolis or whatever? That's a much more interesting thing. Because he could sacrifice his grandmother. You don't know. You have no idea. He might have to sacrifice his grandmother. That's a better question to ask, and it doesn't violate the rules. The good guy still lives to the end of it, and Metropolis is saved, but he's got to go to bury his grandmother. Now, that's a more interesting story, and less predictable, because he might save his grandmother and let Metropolis burn. You never know, right? So, okay, guys, it is the top of the hour. I'll be back tomorrow. I think I'm working on an Earth Tau piece. I'm not sure. So, it might be Earth Tau. Might be for Fred's role-playing book. I have no earthly idea. We'll figure it out tomorrow. I'm tired. Right? See, now that is much more reasonable. I actually kind of liked X-Men because X-Men asked all of those questions. Right? So it asked all those questions, and it was very much about racism and prejudice. And oh, you got your Earth Tau done. Good job, man. Earth Tau is a card game that's coming out. And the guys with Earth Tau hit up all of the Red Team Go folks and said, hey, will you all make cards for us? And so at first, everybody was like, yeah, we'll all do it. And then I was the only one that actually made cards. But now David's making cards, and some other people in our group are making cards too. So that works really well. So, okay, guys. Well, I am done for the day. I will see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock Mountain Time, provided that this all actually broadcasts. And I'll see you then. Bye-bye.